Welcome to Irish Illustrated Insider. It is Thursday, November 20th. I'm Tim O'Malley, joined by John Bryce of Football Scoop, Tim Priester of Irish Illustrated, and Pete Sams of The Athletic. Notre Dame hosts Syracuse on Senior Day Saturday. The Orange have lost seven straight, so we'll get to them a little bit later. I guess the news that will not become news was that for the first time since game number five, Jaden Greathouse is no longer on the injury report. No one's questionable, just the same guys that were listed out earlier in the week. But Tim Priester, he is also not expected to play, as officially announced by Marcus Freeman Monday and reiterated today.
No, I mean, and now as we talked about earlier in the week, Notre Dame is openly talking about preserving year of eligibility. I can remember back in the days you couldn't say the word redshirt, but yeah, it's taken a while to get to that, but I guess kind of understandable along the way because there were some other factors involved as to why he was or wasn't playing or what he would do. So we understand that. We don't expect to see him. And that's a good thing when you consider who's walking out the door at the end of the year and the receivers that Notre Dame's going to need. If he can, if he stays at Notre Dame, they need Jaden Greathouse. Jaden Greathouse has a lot of upside. And he's only tapped into it like a couple of times, right at the beginning of his freshman year, really strongly. And then, of course, in the playoffs last year.
Noah Burnett is the player, I guess, of note out. I think you've been following Irish Illustrated, the Athletic, Football Scoop, or college football at Notre Dame in general. You know who the other guys that are out there are not going to be back until the playoff. We don't know if Charles Jagusah will be back for the playoff, but not a whole lot of intrigue on today's 14 minutes with Marcus Freeman. I did ask him about the red zone, not red zone. They don't have red zone touchdown issues. They have goal to go touchdown issues. I don't think there's much clarity there. But as Pete Sampson noted, he did admit there was a bad call in the last one. I
Yes.
don't really mean the last game. I mean the whole season that there's been issues.
Yeah, he's want to say, execution, 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 and then today we got a why didn't we just hand the ball to Jeremiah Love on fourth and goal? Like, why did we do that? That's my bad. Shouldn't have done that. You can live and die with Jeremiah Love getting the ball. So that was nice to hear. I asked about Kenny Minchie, kind of because I was interested in, spending time with a backup quarterback on top of the starter. Obviously, you're like, hey, you're one play away. But also just like, he said we don't know what's going to happen after this year. So that, we can be adults about that. But it was good to at least get that on the record of like, hey, who knows what's happening here after this season? Because certainly CJ Carr is playing at a level that, the opportunity for Kenny Minchie at Notre Dame is going to be incredibly limited.
JB, Eric Hansen actually asked about a question that a lot of us, I think a lot of fans and media members wonder when it's 4th and 1. I know you've brought it up a couple times because there's many analytics that back up your assertion from Football Scoop as well. Why can't you go under center as a quarterback? Doesn't matter which quarterback goes under center, especially in 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1 situations.
Yeah, and Marcus explained that 90%, his words, 90% or more of what Notre Dame practices is out of the gun, and so there isn't the comfort level there. He did indicate, look, we do practice it some. We have to decide what the tug of war is worth. How much do we practice it, and then ignore the great majority of our playbook that is shotgun based. And he said, look, we did it backed up against Pitt, and we didn't have too much success with that quarterback sneak. But he did say we might add more to it, or we might go to it more. So, it's when, to Marcus's credit, and he's drilled it into our heads this year. He knows what the definition of insanity is because he's told us that a great number of times. So Notre Dame is not being insane in trying to solve its short yardage and goal to go situations. But right now, it doesn't sound like part of the formula it believes is best is going to be very much CJ Carr under center.
Pete Sampson, you asked about one formula we thought we might see. We saw it against Miami, the Irish Illustrated fan base, and I'm sure others have jumped on it. Price and Love in the backfield at the same time at the goal line or elsewhere in short yardage situations. It hasn't happened much since. You thought Mike Denbrock was being coy when he wouldn't talk to you.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't being coy, but they did show it early in the season.
I think Mike Denbrock was being coy, and then after the game was like, actually, that didn't work at all. Yeah, the two back set with Love and Price, as much as I would love to see, maybe at the goal line in particular, and it doesn't need to be Love and Price, but like get Carr out of there, snap the ball to Love, have a jet motion with Will Pauling or Jordan Faison, even better, and then kind of run zone read with those two guys like that. That's what I would like to see. They have one thing that works at the goal line. It's quarterback sneak out of shotgun with Jeremiah Love as a lead blocker. That's kind of the only thing they have that works.
And he is a great lead blocker.
And it is fun to watch him lead block. You could put together a highlight package of his lead blocks if you wanted to. So it's good to have one thing that works, but they got to figure something else out down there. Not for the sake of this weekend or next weekend, but what comes after.
Yeah, the sake of this weekend, if the goal to go is the well, you like to see them score in a goal to go situation this weekend against Syracuse, maybe go 3 out of 3. But I will, just to put a bow on this, handing the ball to Love hasn't worked either. So they need something else because he has gotten stopped for no gain more than he has scored touchdowns in that situation. It's shocking. That's not on Jeremiah Love, but it is a better idea. The handoff to Jeremiah Love is still a viable idea, Tim Priester, anytime you want to try to score a touchdown. From anywhere, really. From the 1, from the 90, it doesn't matter.
And yeah, that's like, it's not an indictment on Jeremiah Love when you say that. I think that maybe sometimes we've been a little hesitant to say that, but we're not saying that. But again, I'll go back to what I said on Monday. You're 10 games into the season. Come on, man. I mean, you're playing for national, you're playing for playoffs, you're playing for national titles, and getting a foot of yardage has become really, really difficult, and they haven't been able to correct it in 10 games. I have thought along with you guys as far as the two back, because I think that you have some variations and some creativity that can come out of that. But I personally am just kind of done talking about it because there's nothing. We're 10 games in, and it's the tried and true, and
it's the Jaden Greathouse hamstring of personnel formations.
it's really pretty crazy for a team that is great in so many ways. That's crazy.
The thing. If your red zone offense was absolutely horrible, your goal to go offense would be horrible too. But the red zone offense is good, and the goal to go offense is terrible. So it's strange.
Well, just take a penalty. Yeah, just false start, move back a little bit. It's like when you're punting, like when you want to give your punter a little bit of room, so he doesn't have a touchback. You take a penalty and give him a little bit more room. I don't know what to say.
Try that at the 8-yard line. It's a good idea. Syracuse has a quarterback named Joseph Filardi that Tim Priester asked about today. I point that out because he has completed 7 passes in his career, and for all of his good mobility, he has rushed for a net gain of 0 yards, but that's because he gets sacked. Tim Priester, would you like to delve into the Syracuse Orange a little?
Yeah, I would. I think I was the only one that said the word Syracuse today in the gathering with Marcus Freeman. I tell you what, the one thing that Joseph Filardi hasn't done is throw an interception, which is great when you consider that Ricky Collins has thrown 10 out of 181 passes.
Filardi has thrown 21 passes, so there could be 6 coming.
Right. Now let me first, before I talk about Filardi, and I wanted to know a little bit more because there is a limited amount of film on him, but Ricky Collins is so far from being a Power 4 starting quarterback. It's really ridiculous. He's inaccurate. He has no feel for the quarterback position. He does not have quarterback instincts. When in doubt, he's immediately going to run because progressions don't exist in his life. He is a bad Power 4 quarterback, which, like, I understand, seriously though, a kid, he's 6'2", he's got pretty good size, growing up, best athlete on the field. Let's put him at quarterback. He was probably always able to excel on the high school level. But man, at this level, his decision making is bad. His accuracy, he doesn't throw the ball downfield because his accuracy in the short game isn't good, let alone throwing the ball down the field. So, like I remember when Angeli's going to go to Syracuse. Well, what about Ricky Collins? Not that we knew anything about him, but we knew that he had transferred from LSU. The guy's just not good at playing quarterback on a football field. And so they're going to Filardi Filardi. I'm having a hard time. I've written down Feraldi, a little bit of everything. But he does show, Marcus did talk about some of his escapability. I wouldn't put him in the same class as Heinzel, but I haven't seen that much of him.
He's at 0 yards right now. So
he went to Syracuse to play lacrosse. And, so he's a walk-on.
the next phase on. There's trouble.
He'll start. He probably won't play the whole game, because that's why I wanted to ask Marcus Freeman about, what do you try to, what are some of the things you want to do with a guy that's coming out there all wide-eyed, looking at the Notre Dame defense, thinking, holy crap, what's going to happen to me next? Not that he was going to reveal a whole lot with that, but it'll be interesting. He's better than Collins, because Collins is awful.
And there you have it. And that would lead into me telling you this. Since Steve Angeli got hurt, Syracuse averages 10 points a game and gives up 30. And that is why they are 0-7. And they're coming to Notre Dame Stadium, and Notre Dame needs a lot of points to make sure nothing goes wrong in the college football playoff rankings coming out next Tuesday. Speaking of college football playoff rankings, JB, be prepared for what's at stake. Do you have steak for us? Has Snake River Farms yet contacted you or just brought you samples?
I have ordered plenty from Snake River Farms and I'm going to be distributing some additional products from Snake River Farms. They have not yet partnered. There's word that they might. So there is some encouraging development there. I appreciate the people who are reaching out on my behalf. Yeah, looking at what's at stake, the big thing is Notre Dame can get a little help this weekend if Missouri can find a way to upset Oklahoma. And I would note that Missouri's defense, the best way Missouri can upset Oklahoma is if Ahmad Hardy has more plays on offense than John Mateer. And Missouri did impact Tyler Simpson dramatically in that win, in Alabama's 3-point win at Missouri earlier this season, last month, I guess it was. They actually had 7 TFLs and sacked Ty Simpson 4 times. So they've got to similarly pressure Mateer, and then they've got to be able to run well against the Sooners, and very few people have. But Missouri did run for over 160 yards in that game against Alabama. That's a big one. Cincinnati beating BYU would be another help to the Irish for sure. You want as much chaos and anarchy everywhere in the Big 12 except for the chalk. You want Texas Tech to win out, to steamroll, and to see everyone else lose games. You don't want BYU winning on the road at Cincinnati and then having a chance still to close run. Go ahead, Tio.
I want to ask you a question about that, because I also saw something that if BYU and Utah can continue winning, that keeps a buffer between Notre Dame and Miami, which completely keeps the head-to-head competition out of the equation, because nobody cares if you beat a team if you're not ranked next to them. So is there a dual result there where if BYU keeps winning, it's not exactly a death knell for Notre Dame, but I know what you're saying. You can't get the double. That would eliminate the double Big 12 situation.
Right. It's not a death knell, for sure in that scenario. I've explored that as well. But the problem is that leaves more of it, I think, out of your control, because then you're talking about one of those teams, especially BYU, having the chance to get to the Big 12 championship with just one loss. And I think BYU, as a one-loss team that gets to the Big 12 championship, even if it loses, as long as it's competitive, it would still get in at 11-2 over 10-2 Notre Dame, I believe, in talking to people. So that's one thing you actually have to consider very strongly, especially, Cincinnati was in the rankings last week, dropped out this week. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost badly to Utah. But Cincinnati is a team that has been ranked in these rankings and that has gotten some national respect. So BYU, if it's able to go on the road and win in Cincinnati this weekend, will get a bump, just in some of the metrics, strength of schedule as well, for being able to win at Cincinnati. So that's the big one. Pitt can be your best friend this weekend by beating Georgia Tech, because
and next weekend.
Right.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot wait to see Tim Priester in Pat Narduzzi pajamas, because he's got to wear them each of the next 2 weeks. And I might even talk to Guy Wang and see if we can get him a custom jacket with the Narduzzi liner, because the liners are the best thing. The liners are the best things about his suits. But that's seriously, like, you cannot cheer hard enough. If you're Notre Dame, you cannot cheer hard enough for Pittsburgh this weekend and next weekend. You can't cheer hard enough for the Missouri Tigers this weekend. You really want to cheer for USC this weekend.
Yes.
And then you want to cheer. I still think Cincinnati. Like, I know the scenario you're talking about, T.O.,
Yeah.
But let's worry about that because Miami's shown a propensity for tripping over the light switch.
We had 50,000 questions about Miami and Notre Dame and Alabama. So I was just going to go to Priester and Pete, Bryce, and myself for like a minute apiece. What are your thoughts on the Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama situation?
I wrote about it actually in my Thursday thoughts today, and you know, look, you can make arguments for both sides here. I think we love this as a society to get all pissed off every week and argue about this, and I get that, but I mean the committee was never tasked with getting it right after 10 weeks or 11 weeks or 12 weeks, 12 regular season games. It's about getting it right at the end of the regular season. Look, if you're a Notre Dame fan, how can you and this is what I wrote, take Notre Dame and Miami and flip the situation where Notre Dame, won that game. And then, Miami doing what Notre Dame has done. You'd be pissed too that Notre Dame's ranked ahead of Miami and vice versa. So I get where everybody's coming from. But, as far as Alabama, I understand why Notre Dame is ahead of Alabama. I see, I know there are 4 games there that were nice wins for them. But I also think, we don't talk about, I'm taking up more than a minute, Tim. I'm sorry. We don't talk about the committee enough, but, Mark D'Antonio is on there. Mike Riley is on there. Coach Alt from Nevada is on there. I think those guys give it more of a eye test touch to it. And Alabama, they can't run the ball. They're 124th in the country running the football. We can talk about Notre Dame's on the goal line flaws. Alabama can't run the damn football. So, how viable are they in the playoffs advancing? I'll stop there because I wrote all about it, but nobody ever said the committee had to have the right answer on November 20th or November 15th. It's if they get it right at the end, and no matter what they do, there's going to be a faction that says they got it wrong.
I can't make an amazing argument for Notre Dame and Miami. I can't make an argument for Notre Dame and Alabama. It's a game of musical chairs, and there aren't enough chairs for the 10-2 teams that are going to be sitting there at the end. That's what's going to happen. Notre Dame might get the chair pulled out from them at the end, but somebody is going to be ticked off. And I think ultimately at the end, they don't really have anyone to blame but themselves. If you're Miami,
whomever it is, yeah.
Yeah, look, it's SMU and Louisville. If you're Miami, it's like, why didn't we put the wood to Notre Dame when we were up 21-7? Because I think if that was the final score, we'd be having a much different conversation about Notre Dame and Miami. But if you're Notre Dame, it's like, why didn't you know how to play zone defense against Texas A&M? If you're Alabama, like, what the heck were you doing in week 1? So I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for who gets left out. I think Notre Dame's got a chance to go on and like really make a run, but I also feel like this is a way more talented Miami team than some recent ACC teams that you're like, do you got a shot to actually do something in the playoff? Like, I think Miami's good enough to do something in the playoff too. It just, I don't know if they're going to get a chance to do it.
Anything, JB?
I mean, again, if you don't, I bet secretly the committee is rooting for a bunch of chaos down the stretch, like anything that gets them off the hook so that there's not 5 10-2 teams for two spots for 10-2 teams. I do think having more coaches on the committee and a former high-level player in both college and the NFL and Wesley Walls, I think that helps. By the way, he has to leave the room when they discuss Ole Miss. That's part of the recusal process.
Former 49ers tight end Wesley Walls. I want to point that out.
Perfect. Didn't he play for the Panthers as well? Maybe that's who
he did.
That's
he got greedy and left. He wanted to improve his life.
Well, he did it. So for me, it's that. But look, you don't want Notre Dame and Miami to be 9-10 or 10-11 going into the last weekend, going into championship weekend. So I get all the arguments, though. Here's one that I think is significant that nobody is talking about, and I'm surprised. Let me go ahead and talk for just a minute, TO, because I want to look at one thing real quickly to finish this piece of research that I want to share right now.
I did a little research too, and I want to read you guys some rankings. Okay, it's going to go Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama every time I do it. FEI, Notre Dame 5, Miami 8, Alabama 9. FEI plus, Notre Dame 6, Miami 10, Alabama 8. Associated Press, Notre Dame 9, Miami 14, Alabama 10. Coaches Poll, Notre Dame 9, Miami 15, Alabama 10. Sagarin Rating, Notre Dame 4, Miami 9, Alabama 7. BCS Old School Rankings, Notre Dame 9, Miami 14, Alabama 10. Odds to win the national championship, Notre Dame 4th, Miami 12th, Alabama 8th.
Here,
Playoff
here,
committee 9, 10, and 13. It's not that crazy that the playoff committee thinks this way because every other voting entity, human and computer, feels the exact same way.
Hey, here's the big one, T.O., that I encouraged Mintalk to reach out to you about yesterday, and I think you delivered. Vegas odds makers right now, if Notre Dame and Miami rematched on a neutral field, have Notre Dame installed as a 4.5 point favorite, which means they believe Notre Dame is clearly the better team because
Notre Dame. I would
on a
just
neutral
say,
field, that's significant. The last piece I have, Pete, sorry, the last piece I wanted to share here that I was researching, and I should have been more efficient. Of the top 13 teams in this week's college football playoff rankings, Notre Dame is the only one of the top 13 that has not played an FCS money game this year. The only one. Every single other one of those programs played a straight out bye game. The week after Miami beat game two for Miami was Bethune-Cookman. Game two for Notre Dame was now number 3 Texas A&M. So I do think when you look at the measure of it, those teams got to improve earlier against lesser competition. Notre Dame has improved against a schedule that, through no control of its own, has eased up on the back end. But they're the only team out there in this discussion that we're having right now. They're the only team that has not played an FCS team. I think that's significant.
I was just going to say on the point spread, I hate that argument because Notre Dame was a 3-point favorite going to Miami on
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend. It's that I know
I don't know. I don't know, Pete. Week 1 point spreads are a lot different than point spreads that
I'm
you
just
see.
saying, like, if somebody else thinks like Notre Dame's better because of point spreads, like we already did.
Lane Kiffin does. Lane Kiffin said
Yep.
Vegas should choose the playoffs, and Lane Kiffin, as you know, is the hottest name in football right now.
Yes, future college football commissioner Lane Kiffin.
Let's hope.
Irish fans, you remember Rocket Ismail, his speed, his signature, his impact on Notre Dame football. Now you can wear his legacy. Signature Pro Apparel's Rocket Ismail collection is officially open for pre-order, featuring premium polos and rugby shirts, each embroidered with Rocket's authentic signature and officially licensed by Notre Dame. Pre-orders will be perfectly timed for holiday gifting. Visit signaturepro.com and use Irish20 to save 20% before pre-orders close. That's signaturepro.com, legacy in every thread. We'll be back with segment 2, burning up the boards. With football season in full swing, I've been looking to find the best deal on Notre Dame tickets, both for family and friends, but also as a memorable gift idea. That's why I want to offer the sponsor of today's Burning Up the Board, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Whether you're an Irish fan looking for a ticket to the AC/DC concert next September at Notre Dame Stadium, or any of college football's season-defining matchups and playoff games down the road, SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use Irish10, that's all capital letters of the number 10, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. 10% off any tickets with promo code Irish10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. You guys think they should do code 13 for CJ Carr next time, maybe? That would update things and maybe get everybody rolling on that because I think he's a popular guy right now. First question in Burning Up the Boards comes from Denver Maximus. I like this one. Simply asked, is this a championship offensive line, even if the injured players return? The lack of push, as evident by the number of stuffs over the year, hasn't really stopped.
If you could go back to July 3rd and get everyone back, then I would say yes. But that's not where they are. So, I mean, the injured players return. there's really only one player that's going to return, Shrouth. Like you're not getting Craig back, and I don't think you're getting Jagasa back. So I think the answer is no, in part because Shrouth is the only person that would come back.
I think in terms of, I mean, you've got a young quarterback that can wing it. You've got an outstanding, a really good receiving core. I think this is a very good pass blocking offensive line, so you can do some things in the passing game to help accentuate the run game. You still have Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love that even when your offensive line isn't completely efficient, big things can happen. I mean, I get the question. I think it's a fair question. And, if you just say, is this a national championship offensive line? You probably wouldn't necessarily, say yes right away to that. But I think they can. I think they can do some things within their offense that can help offset some of the shortcomings there.
Yeah, look, football's a matchups game. I wouldn't like Notre Dame's offensive line in a title game matchup against Ohio State. I wouldn't worry Notre Dame's offensive line too much in a title game matchup against Texas Tech, or even a rematch with Texas A&M or whatever. So this is not a great, super elite Notre Dame offensive line. If it gets Billy Strouth back for the playoffs, I think it's a very good to really very good offensive line. And because of Notre Dame's offensive balance, I think that gives it a chance. So is it right here, right now, a championship team or O-line? No. Would it be a championship O-line automatically, even with just the return of Billy Strouth? No, but it would be good enough that I think Notre Dame could match up with most teams in a championship setting. So I just don't think the matchup would be solely dictated by Notre Dame's offensive line, except maybe against an Ohio State or I don't know.
Oklahoma? What about Oklahoma?
Yeah, Indiana feels really good about its D line as well. So Oklahoma's D line is good, but it's been vulnerable at times for sure. I mean, look what Ole Miss did to that Oklahoma defense on the ground and through the air.
The damn shame. I'm sorry, Terry. The damn shame of it was that Strouth was playing so well.
Yeah,
He was playing the best football of his career without a doubt. And then to take that away, I mean, I don't think this question would have been asked. Well, of course, without Strouth, but I mean, he was playing really well, and Otting was working well with him against USC. It's just that's a shame.
I feel like if we did a position group, you say is it championship level, playoff level, and they've all exceeded, except for kicking, they've all exceeded. They've all gotten to playoff level, I think. We'd probably say linebacker, defensive back, running back, quarterback could go win a championship. I don't know if you'd say offensive line, defensive interior, tight end could go win a championship. So I would say no on the championship level, but Bryce, you're right. It matters who you draw. Some point you're drawing somebody in a four-game journey. You're drawing someone with a good defensive line that can make it a tough matchup.
Yeah, the
last thing I would say, like last year's offensive line was the championship level, probably not, but they played in the championship game.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and the last thing I was going to say about it was, when we're talking about those units, like I would have more concern about Notre Dame's interior defense not being at a championship line grouping as opposed to Notre Dame's offensive line.
Next question comes from Roland with Nolan. These seniors can return for 2026. So for any reason you'd like, please answer yes or no, even if you don't want to explain. Do you think these players will return to Notre Dame next year? All have eligibility left, guys. Jalen Sneed.
I'd say no.
I'd say no.
Especially since he graduates next month.
I think all these players are going to graduate next month. That's why he put it in here. So,
okay.
Emil Wagner.
Yes.
I like the tone here. Yes. Yes-ish. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think Pete's tone is because Wagner, it's not like he's going to, he's probably not going to get picked by the second day. So.
Yeah, I think he could get picked by somebody else in January would be the thing for Wagner. More money would be the thing for Wagner.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. I think Notre Dame Would have to be around seven figures to keep Emil Wagner
So I think Mil
based on
Wagner.
the marketplace.
I'm gonna just roll with a no because of Pete's tone and Bryce's math. That's
Way to go, way to
it.
go, Samson.
As scientific as it gets.
Yeah, Ashton Craig.
I
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Ashton Craig, Tim.
yes, I was still thinking about Wagner and what JB said about the price tag. For that price tag, and considering what Notre Dame has a tackle, that's probably not the best way to spend their money.
Right. Yeah. That's why this guy has a great question. Jadarian Price. No.
Oh,
No.
I'll say no, but I'm, like I'm
It's a
always
no,
hoping.
by the way, guys. So just
Yeah.
let me know there. Boubacar Traore.
yes.
Yes.
Yes,
And I
yes
think,
as well.
Tim's Priester's point about like best way to spend your money. This is a great way
That's
to
a
spend your
great way
money.
to spend your money.
Right. And he's not going to be a first round pick, but you can spend money. You could spend
Yeah.
money and tell him a year from now you will be a first round
Hell
pick.
yeah, I think he'll be
Oh.
back, and I think that's the exact selling point. And I think some of that seven figures, some of that money can trickle down to Boubacar Traore as well. That's a big one. Josh Burnham.
I hope so.
I
Yeah.
say yes, and I wouldn't have a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
But they're going to want him back, man. He's playing good football.
He's playing really
Yeah.
good football. It's amazing what health does for you.
Yeah, Ty Washington.
I think so.
I think he'll be back too.
Probably.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that there's a large clamoring for Ty Washington across the country.
Right. He might be better off staying at Notre Dame and helping out, and their nice baseline NIL. Jabron Payne. No.
I don't see why he would be.
I don't know about this one. Just like if that room clears out,
Right.
Well, that's true.
It is going to clear out, so Jabron Payne can be there still.
I mean, Javon Payne could be your number 2 running back.
He's looked pretty
Until
good a few
Osborne
times.
becomes Osborne, you're basically saying.
Yeah. It's like Nolan James Jr. and Javon Payne could be your running back room.
I do think if that happens, they go find someone. If
Oh,
if
yeah.
all three leave as expected. Who's up? Oh, Donovan Heinisch.
Donovan Heinisch.
Heavy yes for me.
Yeah, he'll be
Yeah.
back.
Two-time captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he snuck in Jaden Greathouse.
Oh, I didn't know if that was you or him.
No, he snuck it in. I was very proud of him, so I kept it on there.
I don't want to answer this one.
I don't either. Let's wait until the first playoff game. We'll answer on Jaden Greathouse.
Did you include the second part of that question,
Mr.
Tim?
January. No, I did not. I'm going to right here. How will they honor Jeremiah Love as a true junior?
I think we'll see a video montage of his highlights on the Jumbotron. I would note on Jaden Greathouse, I believe he's among that group that also graduates next month.
Oh, that early with his early enrollment?
I think so.
Okay, then I say they will not be back. There you go. I jumped the gun. Mr. January, though, if he makes some catches in January, Mr. January might get paid. But he get paid by other people as Mr. January as well.
Yep.
You never know. I guess I would guess no, but
how
that's a
they
guess.
honored-
Like Jadarian Price isn't a guess. Jaden Greathouse is a total 100% guess for any of us right now.
Yeah. You could honor Jeremiah Love by having 13 carries for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then making a show of subbing him out in the middle of the third quarter.
And everybody chanting Heisman as they do it, and they put that on TV, and
Easy.
all of us are impressed. I agree, but I think he was actually asking, will he walk? He will not walk. That is not something they do for.
He's not a senior.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's just they don't do it that way.
Right. Double parter here, or two parter. Is there such thing as a double parter? That was weird word choice. Mr. Stellar, if the ACC is willing to take shots at Notre Dame through social media, why won't ND media fight back? But maybe more important, Domer, I hardly know her, which is just awesome. With the ACC openly lobbying against Notre Dame making the playoffs, is there any realistic possibility of ND getting out of this ACC deal?
Go ahead, guys.
I know they're angry, right, JB?
No, I just like, could we not be so triggered by this? By a tweet? Would that be okay, everyone?
By a staffer, maybe by like
Yeah.
a 20-year-old
I wouldn't have done it if
staffer
I
or
was
something.
the ACC. So I think it puts your refs in a terrible position. They actually, to their credit, came through the Pittsburgh game pretty well, considering that was not a great crew from the NC State game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and getting out of the ACC deal over a tweet, like give me a break on that one.
JB?
I I would say that I've been told relations are Cold War-esque right now between Notre Dame and the ACC. I will say that. I can tell you it's been discussed on campus. Notre Dame's mad as hell. Like I will tell you that. I know that directly. Furious and what's going to come of it, I don't know. But if I was the ACC, I would not count on getting any extra benefits from Notre Dame or any extra cooperation. I would think whatever they want to use of Notre Dame football highlights beyond like 30 seconds or whatever they're allowed, like Notre Dame will build the hell out of the ACC on this. So, and I'm just telling you this. I will say also though, like the question about, oh, can they get out of the grant of rights or whatever? They're not going to. I think there would be people who would look at the language and probably remind the ACC, hey, we're actually like a member in all these sports. You're kind of being dumbasses. You're not allowed to do this per your rules, per your grant of right. So I think that ACC people are getting some educating from Notre Dame. I think ACC could have picked a different target than Notre Dame and been a little smarter about it. And I also think that the other point though, like could they get out of the grant? Like Notre Dame, and now with the SEC going to non-league games and the ACC and all that, like Notre Dame's got to have enough dance partners so that people aren't talking this time of year when they're on pace to be 10-2 about how crappy their schedule is. So don't lose sight of that. Like the ACC is committing to having Notre Dame playing Clemson and Miami and Florida State more. In this new world, Notre Dame needs those matchups. I see Pete nodding his head. Or
I would
maybe
be.
Yep.
Go ahead, Pete.
No, I'll just say like the with the exception of Team A, Team B, like that was stupid. The other tweet that they put out this week about like people stumping for Miami, like I totally get it. Like that's
That is different than Team A, Team B. Yeah.
totally different.
There's a Team A, Team B tweet to put out there that I just said at the end of segment one where it ranks Notre Dame by every entity in the world ahead of
Yeah,
Miami.
yeah, that was my post game tweet of Team B 38, Pittsburgh 15. Like that, I don't know. It's fine. You have a partnership with somebody. It doesn't mean you agree all the time. Sometimes people do something stupid. That doesn't mean you're like
Yeah, I would.
you
I,
don't nuke the whole thing over that.
I would love to know the specific person that's actually responsible for it, because that person or persons may have caught a little bit of heat as a result of this. We have a question from Coach Aguilar. How does Mike Denbrock call playoff games knowing that short yardage is untenable and field goals are currently not a 50-50 proposition?
It's a bad combination of short yardage goal to go and not being able to kick field goals. The one thing I'll say here is Marcus Freeman doesn't kick a lot of goal to go field goals, but short yardage at the 28-yard line, or not, maybe as Pete said, 28 is too far. Short yardage at the 19-yard line becomes a little different when you don't trust your third and one and fourth and one, and don't trust your field goal kicker.
Well, Coach Aguilar, regular contributor, a good question. My first answer would be you fix a lot of those problems as much as you can in the next 2 weeks. You see Eric Schmidt kick a field goal inside Notre Dame Stadium this weekend to give you just a modicum of confidence. And then you get 3 weeks in December before you play, presumably, a first playoff game. And you'll give the team off a week, but then you'll have 2 weeks of preparation to continue fixing it. So that's how you do it. I do wonder, like, I wonder if Notre Dame gets into that situation, if they have to dip into Denbrock's bag of 2-point plays to use them on non-2-point plays in the postseason because they've been so bad on short yardage.
Yeah, smoke them if you got them. I like that idea.
Yeah, Tim, go ahead, Tim.
No, I wasn't.
Well,
I said my thoughts.
I mean, just like in general, you call you go into it knowing it's 2 plays for one. I mean, your third down call is based, or your fourth down call is largely based upon your third down call, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think third and one is the issue. When it's third and one turns into fourth and one, like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
well, let's figure something out here. It's tough, man. The field goal thing is a weird thing on there. I just wanted to point out, like, Freeman does not kick a lot of short yardage, very short yardage, very, very close field goals, because you do have a great defense that has them trapped at the inside the 6-yard line and stuff like that now. So that's No one's ever thought you should kick the field goal, Marcus Freeman, when it's 4th and goal from the 3. We're just saying you want to score a touchdown as opposed to getting stopped. From ND State 2, the 24/7 rankings for quarterbacks following CJ Carr are number 26 for Hebert. I keep saying Bear like it's Bobby Bear. Hebert, 26 for Hebert, 31 Grubbs, and 19 Gerard. Understanding Indy can always go to the portal, are you all surprised they haven't gone in a little bit more on a 5-star prospect since Carr? Any concern with this future QB situation?
I think you're always, the quarterback situation is going to be precarious for everybody. It's so difficult to keep 3 viable quarterbacks on your roster. I love Teddy Jared. I think he's the future. I don't really have a feel for what Hebert's development, if he's actually been able to make any. And I'm having serious questions about Grubbs' upside based upon what we've seen the last 2 years. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's not like you can stockpile quarterbacks like you could before. They're not sitting around waiting for an opportunity to, sit out a year and then play the next year. CJ Carr was willing to do that under the circumstances, of course, but I'm not overly concerned because I think you always have to keep the transfer portal at quarterback alive. It's always in play.
Yeah, I think I talked to some people this week who had actually been down in Florida and were with Grubbs' dad, and I talked to some other people as well at 247. He's not lighting it up on film. His supporting cast is really
I agree with that. I agree, John.
And he lost a ton from what he had around him last year. So it's really pretty impossible, I think, to get a true eval of Ryan Grubbs. Now, look, Grubbs, he's not sitting there making you think, okay, he doesn't have a supporting cast and he's a transcendent prospect. I'm not saying that. And as for Teddy Gerard, I can tell you, I know from inside the building, like Notre Dame's remarkably high on him. They rated him above some other people that the so-called industry experts had rated above him. He continues to be rated very highly in different areas. Notre Dame is really bullish on the future of Teddy Gerard.
You would need, though, a portal quarterback to bridge to Teddy Gerard because he's a 27 recruit. And CJ Carr.
It's a good chance of that being a reality.
I think it goes CJ Carr, portal, somebody else.
And I mean, I think it's worth just sort of making this point. Like, you can sign 5-star quarterbacks or like top 100 players like Phil Dracovic, Tyler Buckner, Brandon Wimbush. Like, they don't, like, they work out like they work out.
I thought you were going to say they don't throw well, but go ahead, Pete.
I mean, it wouldn't be a sure thing if they signed. I mean, I'm just 5-star quarterbacks from 2024. Like, is it Grunkemeyer from Penn State? Like, is that going to make a difference that you got him instead of Hebert? I don't think so. So I wouldn't read too much into it. But the portal gives you an escape route that Notre Dame has not had in the past, and clearly they are not afraid to go that way.
And real quickly, Fernando Mendoza may win the Heisman this year at IU, and he was the number 134 quarterback in the country coming out of high school.
Yeah, the best top 5 portal quarterbacks every year are much more valuable than most incoming quarterbacks. Not a guy like CJ Carr, but most players.
Yeah, and when Carr's done, there's going to be a good number of quarterbacks that say, "Yeah, I'll go play at Notre Dame for a year."
Yeah, he will help that. That's a great point.
We have a question from Jay Harper 3. What is the typical difference in cost for A, retaining a current player versus B, a portal addition? Assuming the exact same skill level, production, etc., does one usually cost more than the other? I would assume the portal. Curious if this is one of the added benefits of Freeman's homegrown policy, in addition to continuity, culture, institutional knowledge, and all that whimsical stuff we talk about.
Great wording. JB?
Player retention is cheaper than player acquisition almost 100 out of 100 times, like without fail. And I've used a number of different examples. Michigan State paid an offensive lineman this year over $1 million, and look at what Michigan State is doing. And another Big Ten team paid an offensive lineman that started maybe 3 games for them and has been their sixth or seventh best OL most of the season, $600,000. Those were portal acquisitions that were premium priced. Another ACC team paid 750 to 800,000 for a defensive lineman who's played well for them, but they got him from G5/FCS ball. So player retention is cheaper than player acquisition. And that's pretty much the case every single time, especially because somebody like Texas Tech or even Wisconsin has had some very bloated bad deals. Michigan State with some desperation. Another Big Ten team that's having a terrible season, I was told, spent over $2 million on its quarterback this year. So, yeah, grow and develop and pay to keep.
And just think, this is all I'll say on it. Think how much more Steve Angeli and Pendleton and Coogan and Spindler got for leaving, especially Angeli. I mean, it's just you
Yeah,
can't.
7 figures.
Yeah, you can't pay like that if you're retaining people.
Yeah, it's just how the world works. Like if you're in a
Yes.
job
Yeah.
and someone else wants to recruit you away from that job, they have to give you a raise, a big one. It's like it's inconvenient to do that. It's very convenient to stay and take a small raise. So, or the same salary at all. So yeah, I think it's just like this is the way of the world, not something that's unique to college football.
It's pretty wild to me that, a lot of transfer quarterbacks are making more than half of what some coordinators are making.
Yeah.
I mean, 60,
Not
60,
an ND.
65, not Notre Dame, but like 60, 65% of what one of the coordinators is making. That's out of control. I mean, that's just not a good thing it's great for the player, but it's not a good thing for the balance of the sport.
I would be curious to know how many Power Four quarterbacks are making more than how many G5 head coaches, because
Yeah.
it's significant. It really is.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I wonder how many Power Four quarterbacks are making more than CJ Carr, and how many will be next year by comparison would be a much lower number. That's what. Our next question is from Clear Screen 25. Following the completion of Shields Family Hall and along with the increase in NIL spending and coaches' salaries, what is the next logical step for Notre Dame to demonstrate that any limitations, real or perceived, have been eliminated? He says, for example, the leeway in allowing underclassmen transfers is at least being addressed. They obviously cannot change weather location. What else is there other than winning a national championship?
I
Go ahead,
can't think
Pete.
of anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, Pete, you were there with me with Bavakwa in the summer interview, and that topic came up, and he
I asked. He couldn't think of anything
right,
either.
right. He didn't have an answer as to what else, and the whole the underclassmen being addressed. It's never going to be the level that people want.
just get freshmen. That's fine.
Yeah, it's never going to be to that level, and but again, culture, chemistry is hugely important in Notre Dame, and I don't know. I just wrote something today about the expectation of like 5-star guys. I'm veering off a little bit here, but that it just doesn't. And same way with transfers. I mean, you still have to have the cultural fit. And Freeman's talked about it, about kind of educating them about what playing in Notre Dame is all about, what it means, how you're going to benefit from it.
I don't think you use this as a recruiting pitch, but it's worth noting that the only major school that had fewer portal guys come in last year than Notre Dame was Ohio State. Heck of a culture there, and they won the national championship.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought in less than Notre Dame. Ohio State.
They did a great
Brought in
job
the
with
right
retention.
guys. Yeah, retention.
Those are two schools people don't want to leave. That's great. If you have that going for you, you can make everything else work.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that all of that stuff is pertinent. And then I think when you have a guy like Jeremiah Love, that it's so marketable, that should be in New York in a few weeks as a finalist, that continues to be featured on all these programs. And most importantly, I would expect, whether he accepts it or not, I would expect him to be invited to Pittsburgh as one of those select 15 to 20 prospects that will be in the NFL green room on draft night. And he'll be representing Notre Dame with a ton of highlights that night. I think that's a key one. That's the next thing. Like, Marcus Freeman hasn't really had that kind of dude under him since he's been coach. Joe Alt was awesome,
but that's
but
different.
that's different. Jeremiah Love, I think, will resonate with the types of prospects they have to continue to get.
Our next question is self-serving, that's why I included it. CP11, looking at the playoff bracket, where would your ideal place to cover the Irish be, assuming they have to go on the road right away?
Well, why don't you go ahead and answer that first then?
I just thought I'd rather do Eugene than Norman. So I would go Eugene round one. I'll go Eugene round one. That's instead of giving every
Well,
match.
ideal for Notre Dame. It's like ideal for Notre Dame to win, or ideal for like what you think is a.
All I'm concerned about is where my trip is.
The question uses the word your.
Yeah, your. So you can go with Notre Dame winning. I'm going with I want to go to Eugene.
Fair enough.
I'd like to go to Meet Stadium, but I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, I already have booked hotel rooms reserved in Eugene and Norman. Eugene would be number one. I don't know the particulars that could get Notre Dame to go to Tuscaloosa. I'm not saying that would be a great place for Notre Dame to go win a game, but I would really like to see it. So, Eugene feels like likely and a place I would like to go.
I got a room booked in Eugene too. It's my brother's house. He actually lives in Springfield, but that's like Mishawaka, South Bend.
Yeah, that's where the hotel is actually. I booked there.
Yeah. I think I think the environment there would just be would be pretty awesome. Yeah. I haven't been to Oxford, Mississippi since I played a doubleheader in '82. I don't know that Oxford has built itself up since then.
Not enough to find a Marriott or a Hyatt, I can tell you that.
That's
why it's not number one on my list, because we'll be staying in Memphis. So that's a bit of ways, guys.
If it's an on-campus opening round game, then I will root that somehow BYU or Utah makes the playoffs and Notre Dame plays out there. That would be absolute symmetry for me. Plus, I've already seen Eugene and Norman and Tuscaloosa and Oxford and all of those. Ultimately, though, I've covered a game at the Rose Bowl, but I have not covered the Rose Bowl. So that's
us too.
I want Notre Dame in a Rose Bowl quarterfinal or whomever.
And I want Maurice Crum there that night in uniform. In the Rose Bowl.
I don't know if he would hold up against Ohio State, frankly.
Probably wouldn't.
Thank you. UCLA was a little different.
Yeah, we're the same way as you, JB. We've covered a game in the stadium, but it wasn't actually the Rose Bowl.
I've never been to the Rose Bowl. That is number one on my list, and then the Camelback Inn is always the fallback right after that. No problem with it whatsoever. But yeah, Eugene would be cool. I did look into Oxford, and you're not staying anywhere near Oxford, so you might as well not choose Oxford. That's the issue. That was my ultimate thought. You are not staying near Oxford.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah. JB, you said you covered a game in Eugene?
Yeah, I covered Tennessee game. They had a home and home with Oregon.
There's not. So where did you stay?
Portland. Actually.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't think people understand what Eugene is.
Yeah,
that's the outdoor life, man. This isn't all about.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hotel accommodations.
Right.
Hey, Pete and I have our hotels booked already.
There's some wineries along the way too that have some inns, but that's not typically booked on a media budget.
So. Right. It is a incredibly beautiful area of the country. It's blow you away beautiful. That's how awesome it is.
Two questions here tied together. Kaiser Wilhelm asks, how slim of a margin would Notre Dame need to win its final two games, or you would actually just be concerned about it harming its playoff chances? And then, JB, you can answer this one quickly. Similarly, in reverse, could ND actually better its chances by putting up 50 or 60-0, or does the quality of opponent make that moot? Why don't you take that first with the committee, because you were there.
Notre Dame needs to win each of its next two games by 24 plus points. 24 is the cutoff line. Like a 24-point win doesn't register with the data any differently, really, than a 35-point win. But
that is the cutoff, right? You said that's what they use.
But 24, you need two 24-point wins, and then I would just say if you win either of these next two games by less than 2 touchdowns, and the aforementioned Miami Hurricanes blow out their final two opponents, that's a bad news scenario for Notre Dame.
I think if Miami just wins their final two and Notre Dame wins by less than 2 touchdowns or less, that they're in trouble.
It would be helpful to a certain extent, I would think. Miami beats Syracuse 38-10. Miami beats Stanford 42-7.
Go get them.
Beat those scoring margins.
Yeah, that's a good gauge for that. Look, I don't. Like, I don't think 50 or scoring 50 or 60 necessarily changes anything. Just play well. I mean,
Cover.
the spread, yeah, that's the spread's 35 this weekend. You just don't want well, they didn't really play well. As long as you come out of the game saying, okay, they were in control, they did what they had to do, they played well, they didn't no major. You don't want any more goal line.
I
You
think hits
don't.
the minimum, don't you, for against Syracuse this week though? 37 to hope they don't score the final touchdown there. Like 37 to 7 against Syracuse looks a heck of a lot better than 37 to 15.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame will score more than that, but yeah,
Minimum though would be trying to
just
get to that.
just look like you are the playoff team that you've been proving to everybody that you are.
Next question, final one before predictions from VA Doc 88. Agree or disagree? Any Notre Dame football season that ends in a college football playoff loss is a great season. I disagree.
Yeah, I would need more information.
Well, he just means if you make the playoffs, Notre Dame had a great season. I think
No.
if anyone that includes a college football playoff win should be considered a great season. Really.
I mean, I would hedge on even that a little bit.
Last year, I suppose you're right because IU they should have beaten IU at home.
Right.
If they go on the road and beat any of the teams we just mentioned, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Alabama, or Oregon.
I would say if you win a college football playoff game outside of your home stadium, great season, full stop.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
I think I agree with Pete. I think there are too many variables to blanket say, yeah, it's a great season just because you advanced to the postseason tournament in your sport. You wouldn't call, well, you might at the state Notre Dame basketball's in right now, but you wouldn't call Notre Dame a great season just for making the field of 68 in basketball. So you can't, I don't think you can call it a great season just for making the playoffs in football.
Yeah, maybe you'd say successful, but great's a pretty strong word. I don't know that I would say that. I agree with you guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't say great. I think it's successful. What I mean, the problem is you shouldn't have started 0-2, so you can't say, well, you started 0-2, so now it's successful. It all should be taken together. Yeah, winning a playoff game on the road, since it hasn't happened yet.
Just away from
the history
home.
of college football.
No, just away from home. Like if you could win.
Yeah.
Like if you beat let's say you beat North Texas at home, great. But then you beat Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl, successful season.
Yes, I like that.
But if you went to Oregon and won, but then lost to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, I would still say successful season.
That's true.
So
predictions, guys. Also, key to the game. Just kidding, Pete Sampson. Go ahead, give me a prediction.
55-0. That's it.
It's in lockstep with the.
They're going to tear Syracuse limb from limb. Yeah. I have so little faith in Syracuse that when Marcus Freeman was talking about Filardi and he described him as number 13, I wanted to make sure that he actually was number 13. I just didn't want to take his word for it. Turns out he is number 13, but Syracuse can't score. They can't play defense. They're just going to get destroyed. So 55-0.
KB?
52-3, just because Pete beat me to picking a shutout, and Syracuse will do everything in its power to get 3 points on the board. So now its power is obviously very limited. But
by the way, they have the better kicker, so I know that's a new concept here.
Can he kick a 75-yard field goal?
Well, I will say, I'm not going to predict right now, but in my Thursday,
you're saving the suspense for later.
No, in my Thursday thoughts, I said, by the way, the last time Notre Dame shut out a team was Boston College a couple of years ago.
Yeah, as I said on Instant Analysis Monday, they're going to tear them apart because they have to, and Syracuse is absolutely terrible. We'll do 48-6 with 2 field goals by the good kicker and a missed extra point by the bad kickers.
Boo! What a jerk! The jerk store called. They're running out of you.
It's just your odds are you're going to miss another one here eventually. No, I do think actually I think Eric Schmidt will hit all his extra points, but I'm going to go with 48-6 anyway. I want to make sure there's a cover in there. At first, at the beginning of the week, I was like, is Notre Dame's offense going to go all the way down and not score again and turn this into a 38-6 game? One of those situations. So I guess if it doesn't get in the 40s, it's because they drive right down the field, have first and goal at the 8, fourth and goal at the 2, and don't score.
I don't think they're going to have a lot of first and goals.
Yeah, that's a good point, too, that you can score from 15 yards out, and that's 25 yards
How
out.
many combined scores between Love and Price?
4.
Are we back to 4? That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'd say at least 4. I would
going up. How many between Love, Price, and Raritan?
4.
So four.
I'm going 5.
Does Aeneas Williams score in this game? The
By
answer
the
is always, if he plays, he scores, because that's what happens when Aeneas Williams gets in football games. He scores touchdowns, guys.
by the way, and I just wanted to say this: Willis, their top running back, runs like a statue, and Will Nixon, their backup running back, who I like, he kind of reminds me of Aeneas Williams.
Oh,
So let's see if that actually, if you actually
so
see
you're
that.
saying
or if
Sider's
I'm-
not going to try to poach him, is what you're trying to tell me. Good.
Yeah, I do like Will Nixon, but Yasin Willis is a tall running back.
Okay, tall. I will point out you called 2 guys tall. The last time you called a guy tall, it was Daniel Jones, and they upset Notre Dame. So we may all have to be on upset watch while we're watching this game.
It's a
Until
quarterback.
You
It's
called Daniel Jones tall, and he got Notre Dame.
two completely different
You
comparisons.
called what's his name? Pete's quarterback. Filardi tall also.
I'm talking about a
He's
running
6'1".
back. I'm talking about a
You
running
called
back
Filardi
style.
tall. I'm saying they're in trouble now. There's tall quarterbacks everywhere. It's going to be tall running back statues. He's like Eric Dickerson. Priester compares him to Eric Dickerson. That's what we're getting away with from here. That is it for this edition of Irish Illustrated Insider. Looks like JB's about to bounce, so I'll say his name first. For Football Scoops, John Bryce, Pete Sampson for The Athletic, Tim Priester of Irish Illustrated. I'm Tim O'Malley. Thanks for watching and listening. We will see you Saturday from Notre Dame Stadium.